Hello, welcome everybody. This is our showcase for Nodulus. We are so excited that you joined us today. Our team has come up with a no-code coding system. And basically what that means is that we're going to show you how you can create escape rooms, how you can create much more interactive quizzes, how you can create environments, how you can create learning spaces, learning opportunities that are more engaging for students to actually walk through something and experience and learn while they are doing something that has an action reaction attached to it. So they're not just walking through spaces and bringing in assets, and the assets can do something because that is something that you can do with VictoryXR. But this allows you to build spaces and experiences for your students to be completely enveloped in and learn more from and with. So we're going, and the reason we did this is because one of the things that everybody is working on right now is learning this technology, becoming a part of this technology, discovering and exploring it, and wanting to learn more about it and how it impacts students, how it impacts training, how it impacts education, quizzes, how it is so important, in my opinion, for unique learners as well. Of course, you know, actually every learner is unique, but there are those in our population that are exceptionally unique, and VR seems to have this wonderful, offers them a wonderful opportunity to explore the world and on a different level and in ways that they can feel successful with and define that success and then embrace that success and share that success with others. So this is one of those opportunities where we're going to expand upon our current offerings and help the general population develop things that you need to share with your students. And that's why we developed this. It's something that's been requested. We want to do this and we want to do that, but we don't know how. We can't do this, we can't do that, and we want it to do something. Now you can. All right, Danny and Dr. Mom.
Dr. Morris, if you want to go into Creator Space Sandbox and do play with others, you should see my room and hop on in. But I'm going to go ahead and get started here. So we're in our Creator Space Sandbox. As many of you are aware, VXRLabs features both simulators and creator spaces. This is the most open-ended of our creator spaces, the sandbox, where you just have this giant room where you can just build whatever you want from the ground up here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to, hey, there she is. High five. Yeah. So this
stylish outfit, lady.
That is
right? Happening. I love it.
So this is going to be both a showcase and a little bit of a training for you. Are you ready? Yeah. All right. Right. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go to our tools on our wristwatch, and you'll see that there's a new fourth tool there called the Nodulus wire tool. When you spawn that in, it's this cool little sci-fi device that you can hold on to there. You can see that others' wiring tools are translucent, indicating that that one's not that one's yours and this one's mine, so you never get confused, right? Right. So now I'm going to go ahead and start bringing in some new spawnables. Now, oh, right. We have someone else joining us. Hello. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in some shared objects here. So we're going to start off with building a basic calculator. You ready? So I'm going to bring in two of these guys. And then one of you. You're hearing some echo here. So I'm actually going to go ahead and just yeah, I'm going to mute all of us so that we are just on the we're just on the Google Meet.
Now I have to point out that's a teacher feature, right?
Yes,
So the host of the event can always mute everyone else that's included in the space with you. It's a great teacher feature because I don't know of any classroom situation where you could go and muffle all the students without the principal coming in.
Correct. And Professor Mintz, would you mind muting yourselves on the Google Meets where we're getting some echo from you? Thank you. Now, if you would like to follow along, make sure you bring in your own tools there yourselves here. But I'll go ahead and begin the showcase here. So I brought in first a couple of number variables, an addition node, but we need some way to display this node, right? You're going to need to bring in your own tool. This one's mine. I'm going to bring in a text display node. I'm going to put this one over here. I'm going to make it nice and large so we can see it. Very good. So, a little bit of an intro here. We have two different types of flows that we can get. So we have blue data nodes and green flow nodes. So this would be a nice simple machine to show you how this works. So we got this button here. So when I'm going to click my trigger, I'm going to go on button press. So you see when I press the button, that's when I'm going to tell it to update text, right? So you see this cool laser here to connect that wire so you can see visually in 3D how this whole code is put together here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to grab a number output. You know, this is an output because it's a portal with an arrow going out. This one's an arrow going in, so you know that's an input. So I'm going to make a link there. Same with this top one, put a link there. There we go. And then we're going to output the added number to the text source. So now we've got our finished machine here. Now, of course, we need to actually put some data in here, don't we?
Yes.
So I can just click on this. So I can do 5, 8. I click on the button. And you see when I click the button, you actually see the pulses of data going in, right? Change the number, change it to 82, click it, there you go. So we just made a simple calculator here. Look at that.
Yeah.
Very good. So that's a simple machine there, right? Let's get into some other examples here. One of the other really powerful things we can do with Nodulus is we can integrate your media that you bring in from Nexus and incorporate it into these machines. Let me show you. So if I go in and I bring in one of my videos, let's do this video about the cabbage pH experiment here, right? You'll see, since I still have my wiring tool out, we have new flow nodes that weren't there before.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we can do something like this. And we're gonna be showcasing a lot here today, so do your best to keep up. So I'm gonna bring in a player detector node, and I'm gonna put it right here. Now, Dr. Morris, I'm gonna have you make this connection. You ready?
Okay.
You're gonna point your laser at the on enter output.
Okay.
And you're going to click the trigger, and you're going to connect the wire to the play flow in.
Hold on. Oh.
You're going to open up your tool, and you're going to click your front trigger, yep, and then you're going to make that connection, click the trigger again. There we go.
Okay. All right.
So now, anyone who walks in this bubble, the video will start playing. There you go.
Everywhere.
Nice.
Now, let's say we want the student to stay there to watch the video. We can do on exit, pause. So if you walk in, it'll stop playing, and then walk out, pauses.
Yay!
Be slick, right? Super simple machines here. Now, what you guys are really going to love is the ability to incorporate your Nexus quizzes into the Nodulus system. So I'll go ahead and make a synced quiz here. So this is just a little sample quiz I made. It's only got one question, but look at all these. We can detect when the quiz starts, when a new question is asked, if the answer to the previously submitted question was correct or not, the current score, the total number of questions. So we can use these data and flow nodes alongside our multiple choice quizzes that we already have as part of our curriculum and make entire experiences that go off of your quiz data. So for example, let's do something real simple. We'll do a U and a U. Now this isn't only a one question quiz. So I know that the score is only one. So if the score is equal to 1, then we have a true false data here. You see that? We'll get ourselves an if else node. I'll rotate that around. And we want to check when to do this, right? So we need an activation on quiz complete. So when the quiz completes, if the score is equal to 1, we want something to happen. Give me an idea. What do we want to do? If the quiz is complete and they scored 1 out of 1 points, what do we want to do?
Give them 100% in a celebration.
Okay. So let's do.
Make something appear.
Sure. Okay. We'll do when the quiz is complete and they scored 100%, we are going to spawn a
Fireworks.
a chicken.
A chicken. Ah!
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So we have our standard chicken here. So we need to get a reference to what we want to spawn in. Right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a fun little trick here. I'm going to turn the floor invisible.
Ooh.
And you'll see why I'm doing this. Oh wait, it's not called a platform, it's called a floor. There you are. It's going to take you. I'm going to put you underneath the map because I'm going to hide my reference chicken underneath the map. So let's do it. Let's test our machine here. I'm going to get you out of the way. So someone go ahead and start our quiz here. So it's a question about tropical rainforest ecology.
Oh, Jesus. Which of the following is a common adaptation of plants in tropical rainforests?
Any ideas?
No.
I'll go ahead and get it right for us.
Thank you.
And here we go. There's our machine.
Right.
It spawned in a chicken.
It spawned in a chicken.
Whee! And if we retry the quiz, get it right again. There's our machine. Look at that. So hopefully now the gears are starting to turn here, right? We can create entire flows to create entire experiences that lead from one activity to the other to create an entire game, right?
So one of the games that I created last week was for art. And for art and art appreciation. And so I have an affection for French art. So I had 3 different paintings that I had on a wall. And then I had the students, in my scenario, the students would select the correct one that matched the question. And the question was, which one portrays Gavarni? And they would have to select that painting and put it on the wall. And if that painting was on the wall and it was the correct one, then it opened a door that was housed in between a hedge wall. So then they could go on and into the next question.
Yes. Right. So
Pretty
we've shown off some examples of somewhat linear flow here, right? These sort of cause and effect sort of deals. Let me show you something a bit more advanced. You ready? Come on over. I need to fix this one. I got the units wrong. There we go. Perfect. Now, what we have here is a more complex machine. So we have our Earth here. We are taking, and I'll go ahead and share these out so those who are in the scene can see what I'm doing here. But if you could be so kind as to not mess with it, that'd be great. All right. So we have this Earth. We are getting the current rotation of this object, feeding it into an add vectors node with this variable, feeding it back into itself at 72 ticks per second using this heartbeat node, and then feeding it back into the Earth, which means that we have made a logic loop here where it's taking in the current rotation, feeding it into this machine, and then setting its own rotation every tick, which means we get this nice, smooth rotation. Look at that. And that's just the first part. The second part, if you join me out here, is we have the moon orbiting the Earth at the appropriate unit of measure. So this Earth over here has a diameter of 1 meter, which is also indicated by our grid here, yeah? So if the Earth were 1 meter in diameter, then the moon would be orbiting at 32.2 meters, which is done over here using this connect to object node with a 32.2 meter offset on the z-axis. So you see, as I move the Earth, it updates in real time. So if I move the Earth, the moon follows suit because it's happening in real time. You see that? So not only have we used a loop, a code loop here, but we're also using it to make this this 2-scale diorama of how the moon orbits the Earth. Isn't that fun?
Show it without the nodules.
Can do.
I was just going to say the same thing. Yeah.
There it is.
Oh, awesome.
Put you back over here. There you go.
Dr. Mom is jumping for joy.
Now, I'm going to show you something even more advanced to show just how in-depth this system can get. Here we go. So over here, we have a machine that moves this cube back and forth smoothly between these two coordinate points. I'll go ahead and make these shared so you can mess around with them yourselves just for fun. And I'll go ahead and I'm going to bring in my wiring tool so you can see the math behind it. I'll go ahead and make them shared so you all in the session can see it too.
So for any student and every student out there that thinks that math doesn't apply to them, that they'll never use math, there's no reason why they have to learn math because they have calculators on their phones. They have answers available to them on Google and Siri and everything else. You know, there are reasons. Half of your life is probably made up of some kind of fraction. And if we help students understand that they actually relate to it on a daily basis and will be interfacing with math on a daily basis, they might appreciate it a little bit more and value the opportunity to learn it more. And that's really what we're after here as well. So there's a little bit of a hidden agenda to help students understand and relate to the topics that we're asking them to learn about in school. That's the key to get them excited about learning again.
Mm-hmm. So I love this machine, because so we can actually use our 3D, I can actually use my 3D pen to demonstrate how this machine works. So gather around, folks. I'm going to make a little diagram here. So here we have on our x-axis and our y-axis an example of a sine wave. So we're getting into some trigonometry here, right? Now, a sine wave will typically look like this, going from 1 to 0 to 1 to 0, like that, right? However, we want our sine wave to be going from 0 to 1, like this. Which means I had to, over here, take my sine wave that's being fed in a loop using this speed variable here. That's this multiplier here, feeding it into a sine wave. But we need to convert it from going from -1 to 1. We need it to go from 0 to 1, because that is what a linear interpolation vector is looking for. When it's at 1, it's at its peak. When it's at 0, it's at its lowest point. And then it feeds in the percentage down here, which means that once we've converted it properly between, converted the sine waves to the units that a linear interpolation is looking for, the box will smoothly iterate from one point to another. Now, why does this matter to students? Because this is how moving platforms in video games work. Woohoo! And jump. So this is an example. Here, so you guys don't get sick, I'm going to dynamically reduce the speed here. So I'll make it go,
So Dr. Mom, hop on that box.
There you go. So now it's going to move a little more slowly now. Here, I'll bring it down here. So when it's at its bottom, just go ahead and jump right on. There you go. Woo! There you go. Yeah. So students can utilize trigonometry in the context of making moving platforms for a platforming video game, right? Making obstacle courses. And of course, this applies to position, but you could use the same logic for scale and have an object animate in scale between a tiny box and a big box. So it goes bigger, smaller, bigger, smaller. So you can use the same sine wave loop to make an object larger, smaller, animate between certain points, even do the inverse, so the boxes follow each other inversely. So the reason that we decided to make a programming language instead of a simple kind of creation tool like a timeline or just like a drag and drop, make when you walk into this trigger, make a video play. We could have done that, but we decided to go all in and make an entire programming language so that students can make these complex systems using real coding fundamentals, real math, and apply it to making cool contraptions. Pretty neat.
So Danny, theoretically then, if you had the right objects, because I'm seeing how the movement is going with that box,
Mhm.
and how you can hop on it, could you make, a little mini roller coaster?
Yeah, so theoretically you could take a chair, and
Mhm.
using the same method that we used to make the moon follow the Earth dynamically, you could connect a chair to a moving object that follows a path, and then make a roller coaster. Yeah, I haven't made one, but it's theoretically possible.
Fun.
That sounds like a challenge, Danny.
It sure does. So let me. So I'm going to pull in one that I finished making today. This one's fun. This one's cute. So this is a simple machine that can be used for making a kind of survival game. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring in a specific spawnable. I'm going to bring in a couple of these. I'm going to grab an axe, and when the tree, the object detection node that's around this tree detects that an axe enters it, we get logs that look. Now, I'll go ahead and restart it so you guys can try, and I will unveil the math here and the system I made. So hopefully you guys can see this. There we go. So here I have a stored variable. This is how many logs this tree can produce. So it's asking, and just like we did with the chicken, I hid the axe reference underneath the map. So is what entered this the same as the axe? Yes. And is the stored number that subtracts 1 each time greater than 0? Yes. If both of these are true, then spawn in a log. So you can take this axe and start chopping away. And you see the variable went to 0, so it's not going to produce any more logs. But if I restart it, it restarts it back to 3, and we can get more logs. So you can chop away again. Look at that. And I put this together in about 15 minutes, about an hour before this session. So I'm glad my machine worked. But this is how you can make more kind of video game style systems here, where you can have trees produce logs, and then we could take the logs and then put them in another place where it detects, oh, do you have 5 logs? If yes, then take a hammer to a thing, and then it'll make a chair appear. And like, oh, hey, we used the logs to make a wooden chair. So we can make an entire sort of exercise or entire game where we're collecting resources and then using the resources to make other things and make a whole sort of economy game. So yeah, hopefully that gives you some ideas of all of the various shit you can do with Nodulus.
Right. Well, you can also create things like think about true educational purposes being as far as teaching flow photosynthesis, teaching the growth product from a seed all the way to the stem and then to the flower. And if students add water, maybe the stem pops up. So building the whole action reaction to a simulation that you want students to truly understand concepts for, but they really need that experiential learning to do that with, but you don't necessarily want them, or they don't have the attention for taking the time to watch that actually grow in real time. And maybe you're an online school or virtual school or in all kinds of different educational settings, right? this is very powerful and very useful for you to ramp up time and to make learning fun, to make it gamified. This is in and of itself its own special thing that Danny created as well. This is a tool that Danny, you can go ahead and show them what we built here.
So this
with our
one,
atoms.
yeah. So this one, you'll notice that yep, you got the right answer, Dr. Morris. The door's open. So this one is a more. This one's an example of a more gussied up, sort of thematically put together escape room scenario that utilizes chemistry. So we have our two oxygens here, and I wrote down the instructions using the 3D pen. We need to make CO2, right? Now, just as an example, I put the carbon over here, but if we wanted to make it a bit more challenging, I can delete the carbon, and then the student has to actually go into the spawnables, bring in the correct answer, and then place it in the space to then open the door, right? So you can make these more kind of adventure style escape rooms, and you can thematically decorate it however you want to create these sort of more linear assessments that follow your curriculum, but make it an entire experience instead of just a quiz or what have you, right? Very good. Now, Nodulus takes a little bit of elbow grease in order to get the hang of course. But lucky for you, the documentation for how these systems work are built into the nodes themselves. So I'll go ahead and bring in, let's go ahead and bring in easy, an object detector node. Sure. So I'll bring in my wiring tool here so I can see it. So you see that each node has either a help or a settings tick box up here. So if you click on that, it tells you all about what it does and how it works. So each node has written documentation for how it works, what its inputs are, what its outputs are. So if you were ever curious about how these nodes are put together and how to utilize them, that's how you do it, right? And there is a YouTube tutorial series that I produced myself. You can find that on our YouTube channel. You just go to the playlist section and find the Nodulus tutorial series. And there you'll find the basics on how to use the tool and how to connect the various wires together. And then we get into some more slightly more advanced scenarios where I teach you how to make a spinning object, a spinning animated object, how to use variables to store variables and then deploy the variables, so you can make more complex machines. So when you hit a button, it stores particular variables that can be fed into other calculators. So you can have these more dynamic interactions. So that's Nodulus in a nutshell. Obviously, we can't go over everything it can do because it's a programming language. So hopefully that gives you some ideas of what the tool can do and get you starting to think on how can I utilize this in my classroom scenarios? How can my students use these tools to elevate their creator space capabilities? To have your students create different machines, different interactive environments that can allow them to demonstrate their understanding of your curriculum, right?
Right. Exactly. Right. Yeah. That was fantastic, Danny. Thank you very much. And thank you to our volunteers. Greatly appreciate you all for helping us showcase Nodulus, and you got firsthand experience doing it already. So hopefully that will help you as you progress on into your journey to build more for your students and help your students understand how to build themselves. And if anybody has any questions, we're going to open it up to questions now.
Yes, please.
So, Danny, this is Dr. Clemens with Future Leaders Average Network. Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Anna.
Hi. You assisted Monica Portley, who's online here, to create, because we don't teach academics. We have different curriculums, self-regulation, job readiness, for exploration. So the one that you helped her to create for a class, Monica, I think it was conflict resolution. So how can
that's the title?
It was okay, good. So how can we take what we create for our program and this tool would add value to what we already created? What would it create for us? What more would it create for us?
So that's an interesting question. Conflict resolution. What I would do is I would use Nodulus to create dialogue trees using the quiz system. So I would utilize the quiz system and have the different choices in the multiple choice quizzes be different dialogue options, and then utilize that to create different scenarios, like a dialogue tree. So you have these different responses, and then different things happen as you go through the flow, and that would give different potential responses based on the dialogue choices, the choices that you made. That's just off the top of my head. That is how I would use Nodulus in a conflict resolution sort of interactive scenario.
That's a good idea. I like that.
You can also do examples of conflict resolution. So you can do you can just make a scenario of different choices that students would have to make. But what if another student, like, what if something is doing doing something to an object? What if something is taking place? So you want the students to experience the opportunity to think on their own, think on their feet, and make those choices. And so this will allow them the opportunity to say, oh, okay, wait, so if I select this as the answer, then it stops doing it. That object stops turning, or that object stops falling down. Maybe it's a whole bunch of bricks. And if I choose this, then that wall is not going to fall down. If I, so you can choose various scenarios that may or may not relate to personal experiences, or you may choose to build something that would. Does that make sense?
Monica, does that make sense?
It does. I was thinking more scenario based. Hi, everybody. Scenario based, and then just there's some like just to give them opportunities to get in there. And I like the idea, Kathleen, of okay, if I touch this, then that means that you selected the right one. So I think it makes great sense. That's going to be fun just to kind of build out.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be great too to help the students learn something new and feel very successful, because it's easy to see a response right away.
Absolutely.
So
in the moment. Yep.
That it's right there, right in the moment, and it's an immediate success. And if it's not an immediate success, then it's I'm going to try again. It's not a complete failure. It's okay, what did I do wrong? Let's understand the logic. Let's apply it.
Right.
Let's do it again. Okay, now I found my success. That's really what we're working for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Love it. Thank you all.
Yeah.
I just have a comment,
thank you very much. Sorry, go ahead.
Hey, Larry.
Thanks, Larry.
I've been having a lot of conversations about this lately with people that heard about it. And, we're hearing all the noise about, coding is, we don't need to teach coding anymore, because AI is taking everything over and whatnot. But there's still, just like learning to read and write and math is still valuable. It has an intrinsic value, right? This has an intrinsic value in so many different ways, because you can have this immediate gratification of learning to code and then making something that you can see right there. That's so fun, right? But then also, you know, there are people that are teaching coding that this adds such a layer of fun and interactivity to it, being able to do it in here. So whether you're teaching coding or you're just using the platform to teach a different subject, it doesn't really matter. I think you can find some real value here in some way with Nodulus. And I think that our team has done an extraordinary job creating this tool. There's nothing like it. Hopefully you guys like it.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, Danny, thank you for the in-headset demo. This is absolutely incredible. I think there's a little bit of a learning curve for me to kind of get some of the pieces to be able to put together, but I can see where there's so much potential and so many options to really make this something amazing. The escape room thing, us being a virtual reality entertainment center, that's a whole cool aspect for us, just doing virtual escape rooms, being able to actually create those for some of our partners would be absolutely incredible. And all I'm picturing in my head is all the different options of how this could turn into a summer boot camp and all these different things where it just becomes an absolute beast that becomes out of control.
Right. And that's an excellent point, Larry. And we do recognize that Nodulus, when compared to some other experience creation tools that you may have seen out there, it has a slightly higher skill floor. It does, and that's simply the nature of what we've created, right? But the magnitude of what you can create far exceeds anything that we've seen on the market outside of perhaps Roblox or well, and I was going to say VR chat, but you still need to have knowledge and of the Unity game engine to make stuff in VR chat.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I will add too, I think that there's great value. And I think a lot of educators, I've been an educator a long time. I think a lot of educators always think, oh my gosh, I have to do this perfectly. I have to do this right the first way, the first time. There's a lot of value in students today, especially in seeing the process of learning in someone that you work with closely and respect. And you're building that even more respect from your students by saying, hey, you know what, I make mistakes, but I didn't code this correctly. Oh gosh, I forgot to make this connection with this connection. Working through the process with your students is extremely valuable to not only your relationships with them, but to see someone else try, fail, try again, and not give up. But it's also not a failure, not listed or titled a failure, not a complete closure on everything. It has an impact. Of course it does. We want them to understand that bad choices sometimes result in bad things happening or not something happening, right? But helping them understand, allowing them to see us learning along with them is huge. It's just huge.
Okay, great.
I'll say this: it's a different level of project-based learning. It's the technological side of it.
Oh yeah.
And also the skill set of critical thinking. I think when you get to the space, it doesn't matter. You need that skill set whether you're in school, in your personal life. And so I think it's powerful when kids or students or scholars are able to see, okay, we tried this and it may not have worked, but let's see how can we, adapt and adjust or readjust this. This is science, right? This is a hypothesis. We thought this was gonna work, but if it did, great. If it didn't, how can we alter it? And it's important to have those critical thinking skills in whatever pathway they end up, whether it's college, whether it's trade school, whatever their income is, they need to have that skill set.
Yes.
I loved it just for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And working collaboratively on this in particular is so, I see, 2 kids or teams of students working together in here. Because some, just like and it's like learning, coding is like learning a language. I went in there with Danny last week and I'm like, look, I know nothing about coding. It's like I'm learning the ABCs, and that's okay. And practice it. I told Danny, and I haven't been in there every day like I told myself I would, but just go in there a little bit at a time and just learn your ABCs. And pretty soon, Danny made it look easy, right? I mean, he's a coder, so he knows how to do this stuff. But you'll get there, and your students will get there too.
Yeah, Anthony.
Yes, your hand's been up.
Hi. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm driving right now. I work in the K-12 space, and I do a full programming academy with my students. So it's like 4 years of progressive coding, including AP Computer Sciences. But my question really is, since the students for me are working on game design development and simulation creation, where would you place this if it was amongst a group of students from grades 9 to 12? Where do you think would be a good spot for it?
Well, it really depends on what you want them to be creating. Like I demonstrated earlier, creating more linear systems, kind of if then, if this object is in the correct place, or if this number equals this number, then creating those more linear flows. That's appropriate for even the 7th and 8th graders, right? And then when you get into the higher, more complex stuff, where you're getting into the higher math, the logic loops, creating these more complex machines, it really depends on what the objective is for your students, I would say.
So you're working with 9th through 12th grade students. I would say talking to them and introducing some of the vocabulary at first for actual coding would be an introduction in the beginning of the program, and then take them into VR and learn the language while they're doing. It has a little bit more impact if they actually have hands-on while they're learning something new, in addition to just being taught or told this word means this, on a board. It makes a little bit of a different impact if you've got something in your hand and it says, oh, that's what that is. Or if they can actually connect certain things, and then you're helping them, you're being that guide on the side that they need to align the knowledge and the knowledge transfer skills from one thing to the next. So I would say the introduction of the basic, perhaps language and what they're going to be doing, and then you go in, how to use VR too, obviously, and then go in and start exploring with them and learning the vocabulary hands-on. And then, and that, because I do feel like, I'm not a coder, I'm an educator. So I do feel like myself, because I learned how to do this, and I learned pretty quickly, didn't I, Danny? I was able to create something within 30 minutes. I had this whole schema done, and I am not a coder at all. And I'm not a gamer either. I do board games. I don't do VR games. So this was all completely new to me. But it wasn't that difficult, and it was really fun to do at the same time. But I can definitely see the advantage of including this at the beginning and then taking them into the detailed coding and and it's taking them into building games within Unity, because they have the foundation and the structure presented to them in picture, and in seeing the nodes connected, they would have that foundation, so they'd have a really solid understanding of how then you would code that into and using another program like Unity. Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. Thank you. That's what I was just asking in general. For that piece. Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Now, before I wrap up, there is one request that I would like to make for all of you. So Nodulus came out last week with our latest update. So what I would like you all to do is go in and break it. Please go in and try to break it. And if you do break it, please let us know, because unlike a simulator, there's no way that we as developers can test every single possible node connection, because there's literally millions of potential connections with the different nodes we've made. So if you go in and you find something that doesn't work how you expect it to, please let us know, because we want it to be an ever evolving and ever changing system where we fix what's broken and we add new nodes to fill in the things that you want to do but you can't figure out how to do. Right? That's what we want to do.
So watch the tutorial video first that Danny had created so that you get a good foundation, you get a good understanding of okay, how do I start this? What do I have to do? Oh, I have to use the spawn tool. Oh, I have to spawn in the actual nodes after the spawn tool. So then you'll understand the basics, and then play and play and play again and play some more, and let us know what you spawn in and if your chickens multiply.
Yes. And I just put in the link to the tutorial playlist in the chat. So this is the Nodulus tutorials playlist. It has the basics. It has how to use variables, how to integrate with your Nexus spawnables. So how to utilize it with your quizzes, your videos, your PowerPoint presentations, how to do lock and key logic for escape room style scenarios, and how to use loops to animate objects.
So Danny, can this work and be integrated in with your existing CTE simulations?
No, so this is only for creator spaces.
Okay, creator. Okay.
Now, does that mean that you can't? Because remember, in VXRLabs, you can bring in your own FBX, OBJ, STL files. Danny, I mean, as far as I know, you would be able to spawn those in because they're in your file system. So if you wanted them to be able to do something with those objects as well, or have the engine go into the car, I mean, it would just be a matter of putting the car in and then bringing the engine and putting it over there and making that line, or that that conveyor belt system of some sort, if students choose which order things go in.
It depends. So with spawnables that come in from your Nexus files, layouts that contain Nexus files need to be brought in by the person who owns those Nexus files. But beyond that, yeah, you can utilize your own 3D objects and utilize object detection nodes and doing that. Oh, Anthony, can you use any headset? Pico, yes. Pico works. If you're doing PC VR, any Steam VR compatible headset works. So Big Screen Beyond, Valve Index, original Oculus, original Vive, as long as you're using the Knuckles controllers. Yep, you're totally good. We try to be as headset agnostic as possible to support as many different potential users as possible.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for your time today. Again, we value your time. We value your attention. We value your interest. And we appreciate all that you are doing to help advance education for students today and for tomorrow futures.
Right.
Thank you so much. If you have any questions, please reach out. We're here for you.
Thanks all.
Bye.
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 Thanks, everyone.
Bye.